Hello, my name is Dr. Ashik Hussain. I'm with another video once again. If you haven't seen my previous video, which is formation of dural venous sinuses, how they are formed, I would suggest you that you better watch that video first. But in this particular video, I would discuss about the foldings of the dura mater, how falx cerebri, how falx cerebelli, and diaphragma celli and tentorium, how they are formed. So you just look at this diagram. You can see the outer blue covering, which is dura mater, and it has got two layers. The outer one, which is more intimate with the bone, is called the endosteal layer, whereas the inner one, which is more in approximation with the underlying coverings, which are arachnoid matter, yellow one, and the pia mater, which is the purple one. Although this is not the perfect diagram, pia mater is actually very close to the surface of the brain, which are sulci and gyri, but in this diagram it is shown bit apart or away from the brain surface. So this is not the true depiction of the situation. So you can see the endosteal layer and the second one is the meningeal layer. So they split from each other at certain points and results in the formation of the dural venous sinus. So here you can see the meningeal layer, it is getting separated from the dura mater and it is moving downward, and here you can see this blue layer, this is only meningeal layer which is coming down, whereas endosteal layer, it remains in close relationship with the calvarium or with the bone endosteal layer, which is endosteal layer. So you can see the meningeal layer, it is curling upon itself, or you can say it is folding upon itself and then moving again upward to the endosteal layer, and here it is again in becomes in close approximation with the endosteal layer. So here you can see these this is the double layer of the meningeal layer of the dura mater. So falx cerebri or tentorium cerebri or and falx cerebelli or diaphragma celli, they are actually all the double meningeal layers, doubling of the meningeal layer of the dura mater. In these foldings, endosteal layer it doesn't play its role, or it doesn't results in the formation of the falx or partition. So here you can see this falx cerebri has divided the cranial cavity into two parts, and this is the one cerebrum, this is the other cerebrum, and between these two cerebri there is a median fissure which actually fits into the median fissure. So you, in this diagram, you are watching the coronal section of the skull or of the head. So here you can, this is the downward extension or free edge of the falx, and here you can see the inferior sagittal sinus is being formed. So in my next diagram we would see different types of dural venous sinuses and their locations and their locations and their locations. So in this diagram you can see the tentorium on both sides. Actually this tentorium is present in horizontal plane, so it has got anterior attachment here to the posterior clinoid process, then the petrous, superior border of the petrous temporal bone, then the parietal bone on the posterolateral aspect, and then attached to the internal surface of the occipital bone. So here you can see this is the free edge of the tentorium, which is called tentorial notch. From this anterior to this tentorial notch, you can see different types of brainstem, which include pons, midbrain, and medulla oblongata. So medulla oblongata and pons, they pass through tentorial notch. So here you can see in this attached part of the tentorium, this blue structure or blue line is actually transverse sinus, or you can say transverse dural sinus. This is transverse dural sinus of the right side, this is transverse dural sinus of the left side, and this is straight sinus and occipital sinus. They all open or meet at this particular point. This is called the confluence point of the dural venous sinuses. So in another view, this is transverse view. In another view, I will show which other dural venous sinuses they open at this confluence point. So here you can see this is the side view, or you can see you can say that this is the sagittal view of the falx cerebri. Falx cerebri anteriorly attached to the internal frontal crust, and then crista galli, and posteriorly it is joining the mid of the tentorial tentorium cerebri. So here you can see in the superior attached border of the falx, where you blue color of line you can see. This blue line is actually superior sagittal sinus. This is present in the attached part of the falx cerebri, whereas likewise, tentorium falx cerebri also has an inferior free margin which is present just above the corpus callosum. Here you can see, and here actually inferior sagittal sinus is present. So in the superior attached border, here we have got superior sagittal sinus, and inferior free border of the falx, here we have got inferior sagittal sinus, and they both open into the straight sinus. This straight sinus is you can see here. This straight sinus is actually present with, at the point where the, falx cerebri is intersecting or bisecting the tentorium cerebelli. So this falx divides the cranial cavity into two parts, right and left, whereas this tentorium, it actually divides the cranial cavity into supratentorial and infratentorial compartments, infratentorial compartment, and this is confluence point. So superior sagittal sinus, straight sinus, this is this blue one which is extended downward from the confluence point is the occipital sinus, and beside that these transverse sinus, they all actually open at the confluence point. So see again, transverse sinus, right transverse, left transverse, confluence point, straight sinus, and on this sagittal view here we have got occipital sinus. They all open into the confluence point. So confluence point is the union point of many dural venous sinuses. So in this diagram here you can see another view. This is falx and this is tentorium. Falx is actually in the midline, in the midline or median in nature, whereas tentorium is transversely. Falx divides the cranial cavity into two parts, right and left, and whereas tentorium divides it into supratentorial compartment and infratentorial compartment. So actually they meet each other in the midline, in the just above the posterior cranial fossa, and at this union we have got straight sinus. So here you can see, and this is cavernous sinus on both sides of the body of the sphenoid, and this is superior petrosal sinus. Here you can see, and it is joining the sigmoid sinus, and here is the inferior petrosal sinus. It actually crosses the jugular foramen and join the this jugular sigmoid sinus, and makes and it becomes a vein, jugular vein, and cavernous sinus on the left side, but on the right side cavernous sinus has been removed just to show the underlying structure or structure passing through the cavernous sinus wall, and these two are intercavernous sinus. These two intercavernous sinus are joining the right and left cavernous sinus, and this is basilar venous plexus. Basilar venous plexus, and inferiorly this basilar venous plexus is joining the vertebral plexus or plexus around the spinal cord, vertebral venous plexus, and this is Savino venous plexus. Here you can see Savino venous plexus. It is sorry, Savino and dural venous sinus. It is also entering the cavernous sinus, and this is the ophthalmic vein. Ophthalmic vein is draining the orbital structure posteriorly into the cavernous sinus. And here we have got meningeal vein as well. This also meningeal vein also drains into the cavernous sinus. So I will just make another brief another detailed video about the cavernous sinus in future, but right now I just wanted to give you an overview how the dural venous sinuses are formed and where actually they are present. And I hope in this video I have been able to give you some insight of the system. So just before signing off, I would give you another point, and this is this here you can see the blue spot, and here at the back you can see the blue spot. This is actually cut section of the superior sagittal sinus, which in a form of crescent passes from posterior to anterior, and it terminates at the foramen cecum, which is between the internal frontal crust and the crista galli. Thank you very much.